With the issue of secession under control, Jackson turned his attention to a private institution he believed was corrupt, the Bank of the United States.
Jackson had real reservations about the Bank of the United States on two grounds. One is he thought it was unconstitutional. Secondly, he believed that it gave too much power over the American economy to this group of private bankers who would have their own private interests rather than the interests of the country as a whole.
The U.S. Bank controlled the flow of silver and gold upon which state banks based the value of their paper money. Jackson despised the bank's ability to alter its value at will. He called the bank's director, Nicholas Biddle, Tsar Nicholas, and the bank itself a monster needing to be chained.
It was using its money for its own advantage. It was paying to have certain men elected, contributing towards their election, maintaining their position in Congress through their generous contributions.
In theory, Biddle had nothing to worry about. The Supreme Court had ruled the bank constitutional, and its charter was not up for renewal until 1836, which would be the final year of Jackson's second term, if he ran and was re-elected. Henry Clay knew a big opportunity when he saw one. Teaming with Biddle, Clay convinced Congress to pass an early re-charter bill that would endow the bank for an additional 12 years. With the 1832 election just months away, Clay and Biddle drew Jackson into a trap.
They essentially dared Andrew Jackson to veto the re-charter bill, thinking that Jackson wouldn't dare. The Bank of the United States was too essential to the economy, too essential to the business classes of the country. Well, they learned that Jackson wasn't somebody you lightly dared to do anything.
Jackson knew vetoing the re-charter could pose a risk to his re-election. Nonetheless, Jackson decided to veto the re-charter bill, thus making the future of the Bank of the United States the central issue of the 1832 presidential election. Jackson's opponent was none other than Henry Clay, who portrayed Jackson as King Andrew I, a despot trampling not just the national bank, but the Constitution itself.
Biddle and Henry Clay utterly misgauged how it was going to play. Jackson was able to say, I have defended the interests of the people, I have taken on the powerful commercial and financial interests, and he won. He won very handily in 1832, smacking down Biddle, smacking down Henry Clay.
But Biddle, with 4 years remaining in the bank's current charter, struck back in a way many considered foolish.
Biddle decides that he's going to teach Jackson a lesson. He's going to show him that a mere elected official, a mere president, shouldn't be dabbling in affairs that should be left to bankers who presumably knew what they were doing.
To put pressure on Jackson, Biddle made life difficult for small businessmen, raising interest rates, refusing loan requests, and increasing foreclosures. When business owners appealed to Jackson for help, the president was blunt. Don't come to me, he said. Go to Biddle. He's the man with the money. Meanwhile, Jackson ordered the U.S. Treasury to move its silver and gold reserves from the U.S. Bank into state banks.
To pull out the federal deposits was in essence to drive a stake through the heart of the Bank of the United States. Biddle thinks that because he controls the money, he has the trump card. But Jackson decides that this is a matter of principle. Democracy must rule. He pulled the deposits out, leaving the bank, leaving Biddle high and dry. Jackson could claim a great victory when the bank expired in 1836.
Jackson, the uneducated commoner, was able to not only destroy the U.S. Bank, but pay off the national debt, mainly by selling federal land. He has been the only American president in history to do so.
Jackson believed that the federal government ought to live within its means just as an ordinary household did. And when he paid off the national debt, then he was able to go to bed that night with a great deal of satisfaction. Paying off the national debt was Jackson's proudest moment as president.